Well, I wasn't planning to do this intro face-to-face, but that's what I ended up deciding to do on a whim. So I was just getting ready to get into the Clean Slate journal and looked down and realized I was wearing my superhero shirt and was like, yes, I'm ready for this. Bring it on. February is kind of an interesting month for me. It not only does it have Valentine's Day and President's Day, which I don't think we even celebrate anymore. I don't remember what it is we now celebrate on the 20th, but I usually have it off for my birthday, like I like to think. But the thing is that it is, you know, as I get older, it becomes more and more tumultuous. Like I had to calculate to figure out how old I was gonna be turning, and I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be calculating anymore and just forget. But anyways, it is, you know, we're moving out of the newness of the new year, and we're moving into typically the coldest months of winter. And, you know, so it's just kind of like, all right, I gotta strap it on and strap on the to get through this. And I looked down and I had the superhero shirt on. So actually this shirt was my youngest son's, and it was when he was a little guy, and he had told me that all the clothes that were left in his bureau I could donate because he didn't want them. They no longer fit him, or, you know, he's outgrown them emotionally. And this was one of them, and I couldn't get rid of it. The other one was like the pizza cat, the cat with the cartoon cat holding the slice of pizza. That one, I couldn't get rid of that one either. So, but anyways, I felt like, oh yes, I felt empowered. And that was like cool to start into this, and I just wanted to share it because really that's what Clean Slate's about. It's about nothing, everything out of your mind. You have a totally clean slate to move into the page. There are no rules, there are no time limits, it's just totally open. And I know that if I can get my mind in the right place and proceed to get onto the page without my mind, without my thought process, without my analytical side involved, then I can get really intuitive and just let things go. Whether or not it ends up being something or I chalk it up to being an experiment, because, you know, it's all about experimenting and finding what is our own anyways. And I just felt like I wanted to share that with you. So anyways, now it's time to get on the page. So without further ado, I'm gonna turn my camera down and we'll go from there. All right, thanks for being here. So I've got myself all ready. I got a layout picked out. So it's this side of this text page, this little mini flap, and I think this is like some scrap paper, some scrapbooking paper. So it's kind of thin, but it does have a white back to it. And I thought, oh my gosh, I want to get into these papers and fabrics. So I did these. You may have seen me post some of the delectable bits of this on Instagram, but these are from Liz Constantine's class over at Fodder School 2. And then the fabric part was how Ricky Tikki Tavi on Instagram, or Ricky Midroad, tackled like a bonus, you know, like she took that the premise that Liz was teaching and took it to fabric. And so I have this really fun rusty piece, and that's what this is, under the fabric. So it's really exciting. If you're interested in that, you should check out Fodder School 2. I'll have a link down below. And then, yeah, so I really wanted to play with some of these papers. So I'm gonna go through and kind of select some that I wanna possibly play with. I've got some pulled out. So now I typically don't talk while I do these because I find it hard to stay in my intuitive self while I'm explaining the process. So I'm gonna continue on doing that and fast forward things so it's not so long and drawn out. But I'm probably gonna start off here with some collage work. So you're gonna see me working with this piece of paper a little bit longer than I usually do when I'm just at my collage stage. But that flap led me to want to kind of piece together the parts that I had pulled apart. And so in order to get that look that I wanted, it required a little bit of dealing with some fiddly parts. So I kind of struggled with that a little bit right here. And the thing you can't, unfortunately, there's no such thing as smell-o-vision, but the one thing you can't take in is the smell that is coming off this paper as I apply wet substance to it. So that matte gel medium, as I'm laying it down and rubbing it over the top, these papers were created with coffee, and it just was coming off the paper, and it was just lovely. Actually, my middle son came in and said how much my studio smelled like coffee, and I was like surprised, and it increased when I put my heat tool to dry the pages. So yeah, it was kind of fun. I started out feeling like this was really sparse to start heading into gesso, but it just felt like the right thing to do. And I wanted to feel my page with that gesso, so I didn't come in with a brush. I just went in with my fingers, and that enables me to get some of the textural elements kind of coming to the front with that gesso as I rub over the transition from the background text paper on the left up to the Liz Constantine technique paper pieces. And so if there was wrinkles or that transitional mode where it comes up higher because it's double stacked, that will catch parts of that gesso. And I just really love to explore excuse me, that textural stuff that happens when you put gesso over paper layers. So I was really just finding where my white space was. I've been really working hard this year. It was almost a goal, just not really even a verbalized goal, but just a thought to try and explore more white space. And so I'm bringing that in. It also helps, that gesso also helps bring the kind of separated pieces, the background paper that's part of the journal, the pieces of paper I'm using for collage, kind of brings them together in a way. So that's what I'm doing here with this gesso. Now I knew I wanted to add some additional texture to this, and my mind went immediately to the glass bead gel because I love the way when you drip acrylic inks on it, how it disperses the color. And I had used, in the papers that I had created, I had used some reflex rose or fluorescent pink. I can't remember what it's called. I'll list it below. And I knew I wanted to use that on this page. It'll be a mirror of the colors that were already in the pages that I picked out, but it'll be more intense. And so I did decide to go ahead and put down the glass bead gel. Now this glass bead gel isn't bought. It's glass bead gel that I made, and I will put a link up in the upper right hand corner for you to the video on how to make glass bead gel for you. Okay, in just a moment, you're going to see me put this coffee, I'm going to zoom in, and this coffee down where the gesso meets the paper that I collaged on, and where the gesso was, you're going to see it's just going to really pop out because of the darkness of that coffee as it saturates into the paper. I just love that. Now, you remember how fiddly I got with that flat piece matching those pages up? Now's when I cover it up. Not totally, but for the most part. So I end up using the word, one single word on this, bravely, and mostly that's because this is my year of being brave. And brave, I haven't done a word of the year in a long time, but I think this is my word of the year. Well, the word brave is my word of the year. Some of the things that I absolutely love about this page is some of the contrasts that are happening. The contrast of the light and the dark, the contrast of the circular areas, the large circle that's on that pink and brown spot that is the washer that I did with gesso. That was when I created the paper. The circles that were repeated in other parts of the paper and then also the circles of the gel, glass bead gel that were on there. Those contrasts I really liked a lot about this page.